Hi, everybody. On behalf of Robot Blonde and the Scribe Playwriting Competition, my name is Matt Croyle, and I would like to introduce you all to Bernadette Chapman, playwright. Welcome, Bernadette, and congratulations on your play, Waiting on Word, for being chosen as a winner in the one-act category for the 2021 Scribe Playwriting Competition. Thanks for joining us today. How are you doing? How's your day going?
Thank you very much. It was good. It was a beautiful day. Took the dog for a walk, had lunch with friends. So
that's always a good thing. Yeah. Well, hey, some days hard work is disguised.
Yeah.
So first, why don't you maybe perhaps give the viewers or listeners a little background about yourself? For example, like, where are you from? Where do you reside now? When did theater and playwriting specifically first make a big impact on you? And how did you discover your love for not only writing, but writing specifically for stage?
Well, first of all, I'm from Beaver Creek, Ohio, originally, which is outside of Dayton.
Okay.
Went to school at Southern Illinois, and then I moved to the East Coast, lived in DC and Baltimore, and I did the theater thing, as in high school, doing the plays and all that. And I went to school and I studied radio and television, broadcasting.
Yeah.
Because, I wanted to make movies. I'm like, somebody must make them.
Somebody has to make movies.
Somebody has to make them. So why can't it be me? So that's when I went and I studied film and television, and then worked on the East Coast for like a sports station and things like that, corporate videos and commercials and things. And then I did a little theater there. And then the man I was dating moved to Birmingham, Alabama. And I said, well, it's been real nice knowing you. But then I changed my mind, and now I've been in Birmingham for 30 some years. And we have a daughter. Now she's 25.
Yeah.
So we'll get back to her because she's the reason for the play that I wrote. But I'm really more into movies and film, and then got sidelined a little bit, but then got back into it. And I really wasn't a writer. I wanted to more direct, but then I got to the point where if you really wanted to direct, you had to write. So I'm like, well, okay, let me see what happens. And I enjoyed it. And then I started writing, and I enjoyed writing even more than directing, and I did some acting along the way too.
Yeah.
So I've made several features and shorts and things. And then back to my daughter, she was born with a congenital heart defect, and she had a couple of open heart surgeries. And then when she was 19, she had to come back from school in New York and get a heart transplant. And so then it's like, I knew that there was something that I had to say about this story.
Yeah.
And also about the same time, a very good friend of ours had a daughter who had opioid addiction issues as well. So she'd written a little book about her story, which unfortunately did not have a happy ending.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So I talked to her and I said, I've got to tell our story somehow.
Wow.
And for me, the story didn't translate well to film as much as stage, because I've always gone to the theater and done some acting on stage.
It felt to me, the play felt, it's a very intimate story, and it's a very, there's some kind of disconnect about when something's presented to you. I mean, it goes back to like even sitting around a campfire, or somebody reading the news to somebody, or when you're there in the moment, the story, there's something more tangible about the story, as opposed to, oh, I'm able to pause this, or I'm going to go take a bathroom break now. It's so right there, and it's so tangible. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt, but go ahead.
No, but that's why I chose a play instead of writing just a screenplay, which then my friends are like, well, we need to shoot this. And I go, well, we can do that too. But I wanted to have that where you were stuck in that seat and you could not go to the bathroom or pause it, or, that you were there. And I wanted to make it a one act with no intermission, because it needed that so that you couldn't walk away from it.
That weight of immediacy. Yeah.
Right. So, but I also enjoyed writing for theater because you get to talk more. In movies, it's show me, don't say.
Show don't tell.
Right, yeah. Right. Which I very much enjoy doing that. But there was just something about this story that I wanted to have the characters be able to really express all of
themselves vocally through language. Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun, even though everyone reads it's like, oh, I'm crying.
So I think and I had asked Laura this earlier today. I think often of writers as not only just storytellers, but like we're in a sense recorders of history, to where you can capture like a certain or specific time period with their works. Do you think that's an integral part or an integral lucid part of the process, or do you think it's just something that kind of automatically transfers intrinsically to the work without thinking about it? And is that important? Like, that's a question that I've been kind of throwing around, that I've been wondering myself about lately. And I talked a little bit about it with Laura earlier.
Could you just rephrase that question?
Yeah. Are we aware, I guess, as writers, more often than not, or the opposite, of how we're recording the moment? So
right.
If I'm going to tell a story and it's happening right now today, am I aware of the surroundings and the world I'm living in seeping into the story itself? Or is that something that writers more often than not have to really think about to place within the world itself?
I guess I don't.
Sorry, my cat's meowing.
Obviously it affects what we write because we are living in this time and everything.
Right.
But I think, when I'm writing a story, I'm just trying to connect with the humanity that I believe has transcended time.
Yeah.
I'm working on a screenplay right now about a boxer, and it's set not in Baltimore in the 80s. And there's a reason I set it at that time, but mostly just because of the whole cell phones and the internet issues, not because of where he would be and, his thinking would change that much other than technology. So I guess answers yes and no.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, maybe it depends on what you're going for. It was just a really interesting concept that I was floating around with that I wanted to ask other writers about to see, maybe get their thoughts on it. Do you have a specific writing process that works for you? I know that people talk a lot about process, and some people have very rigid wake up in the morning or at a certain time, or I have to write a certain amount of words or a certain amount of pages during a day just so I feel like I've, done my due diligence. Do you have a process that maybe a daily process that maybe helps, or are you kind of winging it as you go? Because a lot of people, there's no right or wrong answer to this, obviously, because a lot of people, everybody's different.
Probably winging it more than anything. And since most of my stuff is screenplays that I then plan on shooting, it's more you write and write and write and then rewrite and rewrite while at the same time pre-production and working along that. So it's not like I would maybe one day just love to just write, but I wouldn't give up the producing of film either. So I can't just sit down and write all the time, but I do, I get my workout done, and then it's like, okay, get that shower. And then I come in my office, and the dog jumped next to me, and then we will just sit and write, for several hours when I'm really working on a project. So I've now got a lot of other things taken care of, and I can't wait to get back into that, hopefully tomorrow.
Into that headspace. Yeah.
It's like, yay, I get to go back to writing again,
Would you please tell everyone what your winning play is about, I guess maybe in a nutshell without giving anything away, and the process maybe that guided you to writing it. We obviously touched on that earlier. So
it's Waiting on Word. It's set in a children's hospital waiting room overnight. One family's waiting for their daughter as she's getting a heart transplant. Another family comes in because their son was shot, like in a drive-by shooting after a football game. And then another family's there because their daughter overdosed again. So just having these stories weave in and out, because living in a hospital like we did for 3 months waiting for a heart, you become very intimate with people in a short amount of time. And as a writer, I love to hear their stories, so I enjoy listening and then passing on, those things that do connect us all, no matter where we are, and I've had people, their kid goes in for getting their tonsils out, and it's the same level of stress and love that they have while their kid's just getting their tonsils out,
right,
that I did, when Sadie was getting a new heart, because that's your kid, you just,
right.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the love doesn't change.
The love doesn't change. The worry doesn't change, it just, I think no matter where you are.
What are some perhaps playwriting tidbits or pieces of knowledge or advice, even for, and it doesn't have to be necessarily playwriting, just as a writer in general? Like, do you have any advice that you would give to maybe some aspiring writers who maybe haven't, written their first play or screenplay and are kind of on the brisk of wanting to put something on paper?
My favorite thing is write something bad. Just write. Because I run into a lot of writers, and it's like, oh, and then they can't get past that first page because they want it to be perfect. I'm like, oh my God, if you read some of my stuff, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. You just sit down, and what's great about the computer is that you can easily edit, delete, whatever.
Right.
But I can sit and I just write, and my first draft is very cliche, but I'm just getting the ideas out. And then as you go on, I also I'm not one of these writers where you have the outline and you have all the points and you've got the arcs and everything. The first several drafts are just finding out who my characters are. I let them talk to me, and that's what's so much fun. I don't even know what they're really going to do or what they're going to say. I have a general idea, but it's just like sit down, like, oh, there's a Petey.
Yeah, she just popped up here.
And I just enjoy letting them talk and just listen. And then also when you're out in the world, just listen to people. They've got a lot of stories.
You can find stories really anywhere if you're willing to listen. And I think that's one thing that all of us have in common, is the fact that we all have that ability. So literally anybody can write if they really kind of want to listen to people and hear what else is going on.
And not get bogged down in trying to make something so original and so exciting. We can't all write the Matrix,
Right.
I mean,
correct.
It's like,
and
I wouldn't even attempt to write the Matrix. But I understand people, you know,
Yeah.
I like people, and it's like, yeah, there's no new stories, but there's only one storyteller like you that
Right.
has your experiences. So just sit down and enjoy it. You know, that's just have fun with it. Don't get caught up in all the details until you're eighth rewrite, and then you gotta do that.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's get it done. There's nothing, and I was talking earlier about this. Is there's nothing so wonderful as actually getting that first draft done, because the real writing then is the stuff when you go back to punch it up and make it sound the way that you want it to sound, or read in someone's head the way you want it to read,
and drop the little Easter eggs along the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the fun, really, really fun part.
So how can everybody find more of your work or connect with you online? Do you have a website and all that stuff that people can go to?
I have a IMDb page.
Okay. I can
Bernadette,
link that. I can definitely link that. Yeah.
I've got that. And I think it's got my contact information on
Okay.
that. You know, you can put my email up or phone number.
Okay, great. Yeah. But no, thank you so much for sitting down, and congratulations again on the play.
So
it's a wonderful little piece. And so I hope, like you said, you mentioned about shooting it. I hope you do shoot it, because I think it'd be a really nice piece to put out to the world.
Yeah, and I'm talking to a couple local theaters here in Birmingham, you know, hoping that they'll put it on.
Well, let us know.
I will.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Bernadette Chapman, and thanks for being a part of the 2021 Scribe Playwriting Competition.
Thank you.